Good evening, I'm Sam Gold, and you're watching Injured on the Job. Tonight we have a real treat for you. Carl Bryant, our erstwhile cameraman, who is always behind the scenes, tonight gets in front of the camera. It's an unusual situation. It's about a postal worker in San Diego, California, who is covered under FICA, and what's happened in her case, and how the Postal Service has treated her.
Good evening. I'm Carl Brandt, and you're watching Injured on the Job. If you think that California working compensation system has troubles, wait till you find out what federal employees go through, in particular, employees of the United States Postal Service. Your postman and letter carriers are covered by a system known as the Federal Employees Compensation Act, FECA for short, that provides workers' compensation coverage to 3 million federal and postal workers, including wage replacement, medical and vocational rehabilitation benefits for work-related injury and occupational disease. On the phone with us tonight is Jennifer Schaefer, a letter carrier from San Diego, California. Good evening, Jennifer.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. Now, I understand you're a letter carrier in San Diego.
Correct. For the past 13 years.
You've been with the Postal Service, huh?
Yes.
And what's your local with the letter carriers? National Association of Letter Carriers. What local are you with?
70.
Local 70 in San Diego. That's a pretty big local, isn't it?
Pretty big, yeah.
I must tell the audience I am also a letter carrier, so and also a federal employee. Are you with FERS or Civil Service Retirement?
FERS.
You're with FERS. I'm with Civil Service Retirement. So tell us, Jennifer, what happened that you got involved with the FECA, with the Federal Employees Compensation Act? How did you get involved? What happened? How'd you get injured?
I over a course of time working with the DPS and the way that we were forced to handle it, our station was one of the first stations in San Diego to do the conversion to the two-case conversion.
Yes, I understand.
I have one of the heaviest volume routes in our station, and I was constantly being forced to pull out my mail, bundle it, and place it either on the ground or in my hamper, and then come back to it. It revolved just a lot of repetitive motion with the mail, and the DPS. I eventually got the tendinitis in my wrist.
I think that's known as carpal tunnel syndrome.
It's the start of it.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Jennifer.
That's what I was diagnosed with at first, and
right.
My case labels, when they changed it, when they changed our two-case conversion, I went months and months and months with wrong case labels.
I
was forced to case up my DPS also with this two-case conversion, which makes it almost impossible to case up your DPS along with your residual mail.
Oh, wow.
In order to have it for street, delivery. For
street delivery. So you received the mail. For the audience, DPS is delivery point sequencing, and that's an automated feature that we have in the Postal Service where the mail comes in route order. And what Jennifer is explaining is that even though the mail came in route order, she still had to recase it into a better route order than it came in. Is that right, Jennifer?
Correct, because of the labels being wrong.
The labels were incorrect.
Right. They had changed I went on vacation, and when I came back, they had changed the order of my route because other employees couldn't do my route the way that I did it, because it was my first hour was a drive, hop and stop.
Okay.
They couldn't figure out the streets.
Oh, God. Okay.
Even though I had direction cards for them to make a left, make a right, make a U-turn.
Uh-huh. I understand.
To follow the way of the street.
Right.
So when I did come back, my pain worsened in August of 2004. I went to my doctor complaining to him about the cramps that I was waking up in the middle of the night having, and he put me on, excuse me, he put me on an 8-hour list for me to work 8 hours only.
Yes.
In order to, hopefully improve.
Right.
And, at this time, we were starting to get the election mail. And as you know, as a letter carrier, this election of 2004 was a presidential election. We had a high volume of election mail.
Right, exactly.
I think I did a coverage on one person at least 20 times throughout the, political mail season.
I believe that. That is a lot. That political mail, if the audience doesn't know, they should, because they receive that mail.
They complain about it.
Right. The Postal Service and letter carriers deliver a lot of political mail during the political season. And in fact, here in San Francisco, we just had a primary election, so I know exactly what you mean, Jennifer. So go ahead. Finish telling us about it.
And so did we down here.
Yeah. You had the primaries too, so you had a lot of mail.
Right. There was days that we cased mail alone for 8 hours.
Wow. So that means you were doing a lot of overtime also, huh?
Right. And here I am on medical restrictions, 8 hours only.
And they were forcing you to do overtime?
I was forced to work 10 to 12 hours a day.
With your repetitive stress injury?
Exactly. Breaking the contract. We had no union steward in our office, to help whatsoever. And because of me being married to a manager, I felt like I was forced to, I was told just to shut up.
Yeah, I understand. The supervisors probably said, you know better, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I felt the pressure from my other peers, the other employees that I worked with, that, she's married to management, she'll get it, the easy way, she can leave all of her mail, and so I felt that guilt on me where I had to clean my route every single day, so it was just the opposite, where I would get screwed basically on my days off or my vacations, and I would come back to 20 feet of curtailed mail.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure. Now that means you were getting pressure from the supervisor and pressure from your fellow employees.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
I just wanted to go out of my way to show that I had no favoritism whatsoever because of who I was married to. I didn't want that to be brought in. Right. I wanted myself to be looked at as an employee and not who I was married to.
Yeah, I understand.
So, I busted my ass basically on my route every day, and my customers, they appreciated it because when I came back from my day off, they knew, you had yesterday off, huh, because we got the wrong mail. So my customers knew also. But I continued to work in the pain that I was in for 5 months. And then I woke up in January of 2005, and I could not move.
Wow. Oh, that's terrible. So let me ask you this. Did the Postal Service at any time attempt to try to help you to modify or re-engineer your job so that you could relieve some of the pressure on your arms and your wrists?
Originally, no, they fought me. My office manager, he fought me on it, saying that you need medical documentation because all I had was a note on a prescription pad from my family doctor.
Right.
And so I went back and I got better documentation.
Mm-hmm.
And he also had written on there that I had sciatica.
Well, that's in the back, isn't it?
Right, because of my back problems that I was having.
Oh, wow.
So they wouldn't allow me to come back to work unless I had a medical release from my doctor.
Right. So are you at work now or
No.
are you still off?
I've been off of work for over a year now.
So has your money, have you been being paid under FICA?
No.
You haven't?
They make it impossible for you to cope at all. My Department of Labor has terminated my case. You cannot find a lawyer out here to help you, and that's all I get told is, you need a lawyer, you need a lawyer. Well, you can't find a lawyer that will help you when it's a federal case. Right,
that's true. It's hard because it's a lot of bureaucracy involved. Go ahead, Jennifer.
When it's against the Department of Labor, nobody. I even had the president of our union mention other reasons of why, and I wouldn't doubt it. You know, about how the IRS would come in and start auditing lawyers if they were to help out against the Department of Labor.
Wow, that is.
I've been followed by the OIG, Postal Inspectors.
Postal Inspectors?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've been trying to take pictures, right?
Excuse me?
They've been trying to take pictures and videos of you, right?
No, I have pictures of them.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like it. I like it, Jennifer. That's cool.
I've called my congressman because of this, because there was no follow-up inspection with the OIG. They would not answer questions of why I was being followed. You got to understand, I went off work January of 2005. January 18th is the date that I called in because I could not move. I could not get my butt out of bed because I was basically paralyzed from the waist down. I had no movement whatsoever.
Wow.
In February of 2005, February 28th, I'll never forget this date. I had an appointment to get an MRI done of my back, which resulted in bulging disc.
Wow, Jennifer,
and
wow.
This is when I was followed by who now I've been told is the OIG. I've always suspected that I would be watched or followed or anything like that. My husband at the time was out of town dealing with his dying father. It was me and my daughter alone at the house. And I went down, took the MRI, knew I was being followed. And the building, I was inside the building, and luckily I was in a building that was mainly of glass, so dark that you could not see from outside.
Yeah.
You could see when you were inside out. And I saw the guy that I knew for a fact was following me go and speak to another man in a Toyota truck.
Wow.
And it just really threw me off because I was able to get the license plate off of the second man, and his plates were from Nevada. And so
Wow.
it really threw me off. And I started not thinking postal inspectors. And so when I was followed back home by these two men, I called my mom and my dad, who live 5 minutes away from us. And my mom was able to intercept them in our local grocery store parking lot. And she confronted the guy and asked, "Why are you following my daughter?" Meanwhile, his partner is coming back in the parking lot, and I stood right in front of him to make sure I had his correct license plate. Meanwhile, my mom was snapping pictures of the guys.
Wow, that's great. I'd like to see those pictures.
I can send them.
Okay. Go ahead with your story, Jennifer, please.
Well, anyways, the first man, he was driving a Cherokee Jeep. He took off like a scaredy cat. Didn't want to deal with me or my mom. There's a sheriff's station, substation in the same parking lot, and my mom was yelling at me to, go get the sheriff, go get the sheriff. Meanwhile, the guy in the Toyota truck took off.
I see.
And my mom continued to follow him. And he stopped, he was denying the whole entire time that he was following me. And then my mom continued to follow him down a two-lane windy road, a hill.
I see.
And he came to a stop while she was on the phone with 911, giving 911 operator the license plate of this guy and everything, and they were doing a check on the plates.
Right. That was the correct thing to do, get to 911. That's good.
Right.
So did you find out who it was that were who they were that were following you?
Well, this is the whole interesting part, because he stopped, got out of his truck while my mom was still on the phone with 911.
Yes.
And gives a fake identification saying he's FBI with no picture, just I'm with the FBI, and it was basically a photocopy of credentials. No picture, no badge.
Wow. So when you got in touch with 911, did they find that out, that this guy was posing as an FBI agent for?
Well, the operator was still on the phone, and she heard him say this to Mom, and her comment was, "Oh, really?" She knew. And I was up at the sheriff's station. Meanwhile, my dad had gotten up to the sheriff's station with me and told, what was going on. They were running the plates as well.
Of the other car, right?
Right. And he asked, well, do you work for the post office? Do you have a workers' comp claim? And I told him, yeah. Meanwhile, he's saying, well, I'm not supposed to give you this information, but they're postal inspectors.
They were postal inspectors, but they knew that you had a claim. So they were postal inspectors who were sent there to follow you and to report back to the U.S. Postal Service and Department of Labor so they could drop your claim, right?
Exactly. But
originally,
they told us they were postal inspectors, but I got a hold of my congressman, Duncan Hunter, out here, and he did an investigation because we weren't getting no answers. And that's when we found out that they were OIG.
OID?
OIG, Officer in General.
Wow. And that's from the Attorney General's office?
What is it?
Office of the Inspector General.
Office of the Inspector General.
Exactly.
So you mean that the Office of Inspector General, which we are supposed to use to make complaints to the about the Postal Service, are now turning on us to investigate employees?
Exactly.
This is crazy. This is nuts.
We filed a complaint on them, and we had two representatives from Washington come down here twice and wanting to speak with my mom originally first because of him falsifying documentation of who he was.
This is
then he comes back. I sat there the whole entire time. They didn't want to hear squat from me or my husband about how, we felt about the whole investigation type, whatever you want to call it, chase, because I was chased on the freeway, almost in several accidents, because I didn't know who the hell these men were.
This is out of control. This is the federal government. Are you telling me now that the federal government is involved in the shakedown and, how can I call it, the intimidation of an employee of the federal government, a U.S. postal employee? This is insane.
Innocent, injured employee that can prove it with films.
This is insane. This is insane. This is crazy. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Risking the lives of innocent people first of all, my mom, and second of all of the innocent people that were on the freeway, because who knows what could have happened.
I know. I understand. You could have had an accident and killed someone.
I was constantly watching my rear view mirror to see if they were following me. Did I lose them? Doing 100 miles to 50 miles to slow down to see, can I lose them that way?
Wow, this is crazy. This is as bad as the California compensation insurance companies. What they do to employees here in California. I think they're taking lessons from California. What the? Well,
yeah.
Jennifer, this is really. You know what I need? I'd like to see some of the pictures and some of the video, so that we can further evaluate this. And I'd also like to say, Terry and Jennifer, Terry, has this affected you in your job? Because you've been with the Postal Service too, is that right, for 23 years?
That's correct.
Has it affected your job in any way? Are you a management employee, and they might be coming after you because you're trying to help your wife?
Other way around.
Oh my God! Okay, this is we're running out of time
story,
here,
huh?
but this is so interesting. We have got to do this again.
Well, you just tell all your listeners out there that
I will.
When you get injured on the job, just make sure that you have a good doctor, and
Yes.
the doctor has a good history, and the doctor's treating you properly, as opposed to having a doctor that doesn't know what's going on. Because when it comes down to it, good medical documentation will get your claims through the process a lot quicker and get you the treatment that you need. But the Department of Labor, because of Arnold Schwarzenegger now, has made workers'
That's
comp
right.
really tough, made the claims adjusters out there deny anything and everything, and what they try to do is just basically starve you out. So if you don't have the leave on the books
Right.
or the money to fight them, then most people just eventually throw their hands up and go back to work injured and end up suffering and having a long-term disability. Because for the most part, the hierarchy in the post office could care less if you're injured. That's my own opinion.
Wow, this is terrible. Thank you very much, Jennifer and Terry Schaefer. This has been an eye-opening event for me. This will definitely go out on my show. I would like to hear from you guys again, because this is the horrors that workers who are injured on the job have to suffer with, and this is crazy.
It is. You're very mistreated if you're an injured employee.
Well, guys, I'd like to thank you very much, and keep up with the fight. And you can always let me know. My name is Carl Bryant, and I'm a letter carrier. And I will show this on my TV, on the TV show that we do here in San Francisco, and it will get back to San Diego and Sacramento. And I really appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you, and good night.
Night.